other interesting political news, you have Scott GOP Debate November 8 highlights with no video. However, if you have suggestions for production software for picture-in-picture, let me know in the comments. I would greatly appreciate it. I'm looking for a very intuitive solution. It's easy to use, and I've tested a couple, but I keep having issues for having the two screens work at once. And I tried updating the camera drivers. So again, I appreciate the feedback and critique. So if they have suggestions, please let me know in the comments section below. Now, this is the first highlight, and this, again, Tim Scott on social media is not doing very great. This got only 873 views. This is specifically from Team Tim Scott, which they did pay for the verified account, so you see they have a blue check mark. But, yeah, that's not so great. Not to brag, but I think I got 500 views when I shot a Staccato 2011, a little while back, on the Twitter. But nevertheless, so he says, quote, "If you're able-bodied American, you work. If you take out a loan, you take it back. Or you pay it back, rather. If you commit a crime, you go to jail. If God made you man, you play sports against man." And this is about 1 minute long. We'll play it here.
There's a crisis that is growing in our nation, and that crisis is cultural and spiritual. We need a renewal, a great awakening. We should reject the left's valueless, faithless, fatherless society. We should turn back to faith, patriotism, and individual responsibility. We should stop choosing victimhood and start choosing victory. We should stop kneeling in protest and start kneeling in prayer. There are basic truths that built this country. If you're able-bodied in America, you work. If you take out a loan, you pay it back. If you commit a violent crime, you go to jail. And if God made you a man, you play sports against men. I do not just want to... Audience, please. I do not just want to win the battle against Joe Biden. I want us together to win the war. The war for our Christian conservative values that changed my life.
Senator Scott, thank you. Governor Christie, you have...
That's my message.
And again, that's a great message for the Republican nominee. I'm surprised it's not resonating with more people. But again, he has been struggling in the polls for quite some time. If I pull up the poll aggregator, 530, if I could spell, that usually helps. Sometimes, usually. So 538.com, and then again, that's the poll aggregator. And again, the last polls that they have are from November 3 to 5th. That's the most recent data. He's still coming in at 2.2%. So again, he has some messages that I really think will resonate with the Republican Party and Republican people, some of the voters, but it's just not gaining any traction. And literally, we could actually read all the comments, actually, because there's so few. So there's one comment that says, "Well done, sir," from Mr. MJ51078. It got 0 likes. Now, the video itself got 873 views and 20 likes. And then the rest of these are pejorative memes from someone by the name of Leftover News with a blue wave. And they're all just calling it, let's see, being very racist and calling him pejorative terms and just trolling him, basically. But that's it. But again, Again, I think I'm surprised not more Republican voters aren't hearing the message, and maybe he's just not ready for the presidential nominee yet. There's a lot of people suspect that, time is half everything in life, as Wise Man would said. But again, he's saying very traditional conservative messages, which I think will resonate with a lot of people. But for some reason, he's just not getting those numbers yet. Now, another highlight from the GOP debate from Tim Scott, and this is the most controversial subject, I believe, of the night, in which they covered abortion. And he has a statement in which his text before the tweet says, quote, "I'm 100% pro-life, I'm 100% pro-life voting record, and I will always stand up unapologetically." Now, this one got a lot more views. It's got 17,600, and this is specifically from his personal Vote Tim Scott account, or that's his hashtag. The name is Tim Scott. And that one, he does have about 150,000 followers, which is pretty... I mean, that's not great. I mean, that's like, I think Nikki Haley has the least of the big five that are left, and Chris Christie, they both are just shy of 1 million, and I believe DeSantis is about the same. I think Vivek is past 1 million. So again, Tim Scott needs to catch up.
I'm 100% pro-life. I have had 100% pro-life voting record. I would certainly, as President of the United States, have a 15-week national limit. I would not allow states like California, Illinois, or New York to have abortion up until the day of birth. I certainly would not allow for governors, former governor, Democratic governor of Virginia, who talked about infanticide. We need a 15-week federal limit. 3 out of 4 Americans agree with a 15-week limit. 47 out of 50 countries in Europe agree with a 15-week limit. I would challenge both Nikki and Ron to join me at a 15-week limit. It is in our nation's best interest, and frankly, I think it's unethical and immoral to allow for abortions up until the day of birth. We have an opportunity in this nation to stop that reckless behavior from states like California, New York, and Illinois.
So again, that was...
I'm 100% pro-life. I have had...
Good old Twitter, always resetting the videos. And again, that got 17,600 views and 698 likes and 3 bookmarks. It looks like... Let's see here. I got a lot more replies, 147 replies. Let's see. I mean, again, these are very traditional conservative values. I would think it would be more positively responded or recepted. But let's dive into the comments and find out. Someone by the name of Democrat Rick says, quote, "So you're against the death penalty then, and you for helping these unwanted lives financially," unquote, 11 likes, which is a cliche response that we've heard for years. And again, nonprofits and religious organizations are some of the first and most effective ways to help those in need in those situations. So it's an old red herring, which, again, it's a fascinating metaphor. Go down that rabbit hole another time. 2 metaphors to press 1. Someone by the name of Nikki Barnes says, quote, "And yet no women have decided to build a family with you. Why is that?" Getting 25 likes. Which, that is unique. He is one of the few who is apparently single. I think he said he has a girlfriend, but there's not a lot of pictures with him. So it's interesting that as politicians use their families for building their brand, for promotional materials, he's kind of left out in that regard, and there are some people jabbing him for that. Let's see here. A lot of people... Who is this? Someone with a Trans Life flag guitar by the name of Ben McGehee, who says he's a bass for the Imagine Dragons. He posted multiple... Well, Lazy just posted the same thing multiple times. Wow, he donated a link for giving abortion funds. Let's see here. Again? I mean, at least say something different, but is this the same thing? Let's see. Gator Bayou says, quote, "And 79% of Americans are against you," unquote, getting 2 likes. Let's see. Amy Ids says, quote, "You're not standing up for life, you're standing up for oppression. There's an important distinction that American women must understand. Tim Scott does not believe our relationship with our higher power should be respected, only his," unquote. She got 4 likes. Although, how dare she assume what he is? How does she know if he's a man or not? A little rude if you ask me. But nevertheless, back to the comics section. Lee Tiat Profound says, quote, "Just not the life of the mother or her right to choose her own destiny or control her body," unquote, getting 3 likes. Again, I'm not too surprised to see more disagreements in the comics section compared to the other statements he's made, because this is one of the most polarizing subjects in the United States, culturally and politically. USA Hypocrisy says, quote, "Until that life is born, then it's individual responsibility time," unquote, getting 2 likes. Jeez. Some of them saying, "I understand why your pops left you. I don't blame him." That's from Facebook Political Prisoner. Fran Peter says, quote, "You never have to get an abortion, but leave me alone," unquote, getting 2 likes. And again, most of these comments... let's see here. Someone by the name of Steve Gee with a blue wave, a painter thing, a dog emoji, a car, a candy bar, a music sheet, flowers, and a gay pride flag, all within his name. That is a lot of emojis. I guess suspicious when a man uses more than one emoji. Even one is sometimes pushing it. Nevertheless, this person does say, quote, pro-life my ass, middle finger emoji, you're all for guns and cutting Medicare and Social Security, unquote, getting 3 likes, which is one of the most popular responses. And then, again, another cliche red herring non-argument. Guns are literally also what save millions upon millions of lives. Hundreds of millions of lives. And it's one of the great things that help all men are created equal. A wise man once said God created man, but Samuel Colt made man equal. Him being one of the most successful entrepreneurs and designers in history, creating the repeating Colt revolver. Until then, they were all bastardized mechanisms not really working right. You had cylinder misfirings. And fascinating enough, Gaston Glock had the same birthday. Not the year, obviously, but the same month and day. Which, of course, he's the founder of Glock. Or is it Gustav? ADHD, what is the Glock founder's full name? Kicking myself for not having it at the tip of my tongue. No, I was right. It was Gaston Glock. Yeah, he's born July 19th, 1929. And he is still alive, age 94. And of course, his brand is synonymous with reliability. Everyone knows that brand by now. But nevertheless, back to his comments. Let's see here. Let's see. Smack says, quote, did you really cast Democrats as faithless and fatherless in your closing comments? That is irresponsible and I despise you for that, unquote. Getting 3 likes. I mean, one could make an argument for the policies they support have it exponentially increase the rate of fatherless homes. If you look at the benefits for single motherhood, if you look at the rate of single motherhood before the welfare benefits correlate specifically for that, I mean, it exponentially went from, I believe, 20% to 70% in some demographics. It is a cause of concern. A lot of people, including myself, are worried that you're quite literally incentivizing that behavior. And again, I think most of us want all the same end goals. We just have different ideals on how to get there. And I think we all want, happy, wholesome families who could prosper. We just have different methodologies on how to get there and how to achieve that goal. Which is why I think we should actually have more of these public debates so you can have a little bit more insight into, it's great, I like what you're saying, but how are you going to get there? What's your methodology? And yeah, it looks like most of the comments are just saying, are you wasting your time? You're an embarrassment. Then you'll lose. While calling for war, got 3 likes from Chris K. So needless to say, that was not great as well in terms of the response ratio. Now let's go to the last highlight. Now this comes from townhall.com, and this is his closing statement. And looks like it is exact copy paste of the text, so I'll just play it out loud really quick. And this did get 35,000 views and 409 likes.
There's a crisis that is growing in our nation, and that crisis is cultural and spiritual. We need a renewal, a great awakening. We should reject the left's valueless, faithless, fatherless society. We should turn back to faith, patriotism, and individual responsibility. We should stop choosing victimhood and start choosing victory. We should stop kneeling in protest and start kneeling in prayer. There are basic truths that built this country. If you're able-bodied in America, you work. If you take out a loan, you pay it back. If you commit a violent crime, you go to jail. And if God made you a man, you play sports against men. I do not just want to...
Audience, please.
I do not just want to win the battle against Joe Biden. I want us together to win the war for our Christian conservative values that changed my life.
Senator Scott, thank you. Governor Christie, you have...
That's what I'm asking you.
So I'll come and repeating a couple of those talking points, but again, in terms of traditional conservative Republican values, that's a spot-on message. So it is fascinating to see that it's not resonating with more prospective voters, as again he continues to be darn near the bottom of the race thus far with all these primary polling. I mean, if you go to that good old website poll aggregator 538.com, right as of right now, and again it changes quite frequently, but Tim Scott's still coming in at 2.2%. As So a little bit below Chris Christie. Chris Christie's at 3.1%. So, I mean, a lot of people are saying he's great where he is right now. Maybe he'll be president in a couple of years. But for some reason, it's just not resonating with enough prospective voters. And in all these primary polls, people are choosing go for someone else. So let me know in the comments, do you think, again, it'd be an outlier to say the least, statistically speaking, for him to get the nominee, but why do you think his marketing or his campaign isn't working right now? Is he just not saying the right things? Is he not being bombastic enough in his speech, or enunciating more? Does he need to do more hand movements? I mean, what does it just feel like? It's just missing the spark? Let me know what you think. It'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in. And again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of November. So if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, any critique, even if it's harsh feedback, is greatly appreciated in the comment section, because that's how I help grow and develop and improve the product for everyone. And I hope to make a great show, have everyone have a good time. Also, lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.